morning, new revelations tonight about Sunday school teacher Melissa Huckabee, who allegedly raped and murdered 8-year-old Sandra Cantu. New details emerge about Huckabee's troubled past. The 28-year-old single mother was already on probation for petty theft. She also reportedly went bankrupt, and she was in a court-ordered mental health program at the time of her arrest. Now, it turns out those alleged problems, just the tip of the iceberg, people. Today, her ex-husband, Johnny Huckabee, described his troubled ex-wife to Good Morning America's Chris Cuomo.
A carefree person, somebody that I really could not see doing something like this.
Do you believe that she struggled with emotional issues?
I do believe that the emotional issues came into play quite often in her lifetime.
Meanwhile, Melissa Huckabee has reportedly claimed she was abused by that very ex-husband, something he adamantly denies. And she's reportedly claimed she was abused and stalked by another man before that. What is going on here? What connection could this very messy past have to the charges of kidnapping, rape, and murder Melissa Huckabee now faces? And even as the community of Tracy, California mourned little Sandra yesterday, Huckabee's defense attorney was asking, are you sitting down? Asking a judge to exhume the little girl's body for a second autopsy. A judge refused to rule on that request, even though the defense complained the body is deteriorating with every passing hour. Prosecutor Thomas Testa called the request obscene and said he was outraged by it. So, is it an inappropriate request or standard procedure? So many issues, but first my expert panel. Steve Cardian.
I'm just going to pause this for a second because I see that on the banner it says that Cesar Lorian, the one that killed Maria Lauterbach, is on his way back to the U.S. So for anybody that followed that case, of which I did, he's on his way back to the United States. So he should be heading to court soon. Sorry for the interruption, but just wanted to point that out. Here we go.
Standard procedure. So many issues, but first my expert panel. Steve Cardian, former criminal investigator. Jonna Spilbore, criminal defense attorney. Jennifer Hartstein, clinical psychologist. Drew Findling, Atlanta criminal defense attorney. And Bob Moffett, reporter with KFBK News Talk 1530. Bob, what is the very latest?
Well, the latest is that the judge said he could not make a final determination on that motion to request the second exhumation of the body for a second autopsy. This is Melissa Huckabee still is in an observation cell in the San Joaquin County Jail. She is still on suicide watch.
Now, let me just ask you this before we dive into this very controversial and frankly disturbing and upsetting aspect, this new defense request. We know that she was laid to rest. This beautiful angel was laid to rest this week, and she was taken, her body, to a local mausoleum. Was she buried underground or put in a crypt that would be more easily accessible?
From the paperwork that I've seen and the reports that I've seen, it would indicate that she was buried underground, but to be honest, I can't tell you.
All right. Just a day after Sandra Cantu was entombed at the Tracy Mausoleum, we don't know exactly how, Melissa Huckabee's defense already asking for a second autopsy on this precious child. Huckabee's defense claims a second autopsy is necessary because the initial autopsy may not have had Huckabee's best interest in mind. And please forgive me for repeating these graphic references, but this is what the defense said. They are interested in the general trauma Sandra suffered. A judge refused to rule on that request. Drew Findling, of course, all of this is turning our stomachs. We are paying our last respects to the child, even as the defense attorney is going after an exhumation. Why the heck didn't they ask for this before the burial?
Well, you know, before we start doing the defense attorney thing, this is an appointed attorney. This is an attorney getting government money, public defender money, that's trying to do the best they can in a case where the state may be seeking the death penalty. With the aggravating factor being rape by a foreign object, this public defender has no choice. I repeat, no choice but to file this motion because this autopsy may determine whether or not this woman ultimately is subjected to death by lethal
the
injection.
prosecutor said
That's
this
most
request
important to this
was
client.
obscene, and
Well,
he
that's the
was
prosecutor.
outraged by it.
Really? Well, if he's so upset by it, then don't file or talk about the death penalty because this appointed lawyer has no choice but to do this. No choice. They are to defend this woman, Miss Huckabee, to the end, and that's what they need to do.
I just don't understand, Jonna, why he didn't do it right off the bat. I mean, we've been talking about this for a while now. Why wait till she's already buried to bring up an exhumation when they could have asked for it right at the time that, right there, when you're looking at this woman when she was first brought before justice?
You know why, Jane? Because criminal cases truly evolve, and we don't always know when we should know what we want to get out of certain pieces of evidence. When they did determine that this would probably be necessary for all the reasons that Drew said, A, it could eliminate the aggravating factor. B, it could point to somebody else as the true culprit. The defense has no choice but to ask for this. It's sad that it has to happen after the little girl was laid to rest, but this is criminal defense 101. She's got a right to this, and the judge will probably rule in her favor.
Well, I just have to say, common sense tells me that we could have seen this coming down the pike and done it in a less hurtful way to the family. Jennifer Hartstein, what is it going to be like for this family already reeling from the news that their precious 8-year-old child was raped with a foreign object, according to authorities? Now they just buried her. They're
talking about
reeling from grief, and they're being told they're going to have to possibly exhume the body.
It's an impossible situation for them any way you look at it, Jane. I mean, their daughter is gone, their beautiful little girl is murdered, and now there's rape allegations on top of it, and someone that they knew who spent time with their daughter and they trusted did it. So all the way around, it's a terrible situation. And now this exhumation, although it might really point in the direction of who to prosecute, so it could have benefit. But in this moment, it's so hard for them any way you look at it that what good could come of it for them, even in the long run, it could give the right answers, which would be the best outcome.
All right. Well, Melissa Huckabee's ex-husband, Johnny, confirmed that this woman suffered from mental problems. Listen to what he told Chris Cuomo today on GMA.
She did suffer from depression. She did have issues with her self-persona, who she saw herself as.
Did she ever receive treatment as far as you know?
As far as I know that I could positively say, no. But she was on medication that was prescribed, so I imagine at some point in time she did see somebody for the problem.
She reportedly tried to kill herself last week, swallowing 3 X-Acto blades. Now, he says her ex had been on some medication in the past, as you heard, Drew. Given all of this, if you were her defense attorney, how would you advise her to plead when she goes back to court next Friday?
Well, clearly she's going to plead not guilty. That's a no-brainer. It's not going to be very exciting. We don't need to put it on the front headlines. They have to plead not guilty in the beginning. It'd be ineffective assistance to just run out and plead guilty. But they
even
need
if
to
she's
have...
confessed, because there
It
are
doesn't make
reports
a
that she
difference.
might have confessed.
It doesn't make a difference. It's going to be a death penalty case. It is what you do as a matter of course. I'll tell you, in federal court, they already have printed out not guilty. They won't even let you in federal court. They want you to do your job. But here, what they need to do is they need to get evaluations. She needs to be evaluated. Both sides, including the court, wants her to be evaluated, not because they're going to put up an insanity case. They want to make sure she can understand the charges against her and assist her counsel in her defense. That is critical right now.
First of all, the prosecutors haven't said whether they will seek the death penalty, although the special circumstances could make her eligible if convicted. But I think that's what's wrong with our criminal justice system. She can't even plead guilty. Let's say, theoretically, she did confess to cops. They won't say. There's been reports she's told 4 stories. She can't say, I'm guilty.
Not right now, Jane. Later, perhaps, but certainly not right now. And I am not sure whether this whole depression part of her story is a red herring or whether they are. Defense is gearing up to present some sort of insanity defense because, look, the first people that are going to know whether she's guilty or not is her defense team. And we can't say anything. Not yet, anyway.
Whoa, it just blows my mind. Every aspect of this case. Hang in there, fantastic panel. More on Melissa Huckabee's troubled past in just a moment. Then I will examine the very pathetic